This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. Whether you're tackling a kitchen upgrade, organizing your garage, or building out that back deck, it's important to keep your projects on track. Fast, free delivery from the Home Depot makes it easy to keep things moving in the right direction. If you're just starting out or you're stuck in the middle, the Home Depot has same-day and next-day delivery, so you can get what you need fast. Maybe you need a tool, more materials, some extra paint and supplies, or a battery to power your way through that project. Whatever you're working on, get fast, free delivery from the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability.
You've put time and care into your home projects. Don't settle for just anything on your walls. Original art is what takes a room from finished to truly complete, and Saatchi Art is where to find it. Browse thousands of affordable, one-of-a-kind artworks that make your home uniquely yours. Visit SaatchiArt.com and get 10% off your first order with code THISOLDHOUSE. That's 10% off at SaatchiArt.com. Saatchi Art.com.
A few minutes a week can save your home and your sanity all year long. From LAist and APM American Public Media, it's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. A small home repair checklist that prevents big problems before they start.
Make a video recording of everything in your house. You'll know exactly what you have when you go to your insurance and make a claim.
For Viet, Thanh, Nguyen, home is complicated. The Pulitzer Prize winning author of The Sympathizer, On the Weight of Memory and the Refugee Experience.
I grew up with the sense that all these Vietnamese homes were engaged in a fight for economic and cultural survival. We needed to remember where we came from and who we had left behind.
Cheap Old Houses are back with 2 historic Southern homes in need of a worthy savior. All of this, plus we're answering your home improvement questions at 877-864-7460. Coming up right after the break. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. New Year's resolutions come and go, but taking care of your home shouldn't be the one that slips. As we kick off the year, it's the perfect time to make a yearly checklist for your home. Keyshawn Lane, better known as Weekly Home Check Online, tells you what you need to get done throughout the year. So since we're at the beginning of the year, what is the first thing we should do on the checklist?
Make a video recording of everything in your house for any event of theft or a natural disaster or a fire. You'll know exactly what you have when you go to your insurance and make a claim. Because if you think about the stress you may be under in the event of a theft or in the event of a fire, earthquake, and whatever you've lost, you're now trying to recount everything that was in your home. If you have a video recording of everything in your home, this will take 1 minute just to press record and just go through your home, open drawers, open closets, do a quick sweep of your home so it can make the insurance claim go that much faster. And also, update your insurance. Any valuable items that you may have had or received or purchased throughout the previous year, like expensive jewelry, artwork, all of that should be covered.
What should we do to make sure your systems are prepped for the right season as you move throughout the year?
When we say systems, it's not quite just systems, it's everything around the home, whether it's outside or even indoors. So if we're thinking about spring, we're going to start prepping the AC system. If you haven't had it serviced in about 2 or 3 years, get it professionally serviced. Make sure you have that on the calendar because many people will also be doing the same thing. Also, you want to clean the gutters. Making sure water is away from the home is very important. It can ruin your foundation. It can cause roof leaks. All very expensive repairs. Clean your gutters at least twice a year, and spring is a great time to start that first one. In addition, you also want to clean your outdoor garbage cans.
Do you have any recommendations for people that are going to be getting ready to use AC soon as spring and then summer comes? You said have it serviced, but is there any other tricks to getting your home sort of ready to wake up for the spring?
You want to make sure there's sufficient levels of coolant in your HVAC unit. Or also, we just, came from winter. You want to make sure the fans and the outside unit is free from debris and leaves that may have gotten caught in over time through the previous winter. And also just our systems, like our drains. For preventative care, you want to use baking soda and vinegar And a lot of times people say you should not mix those because they cancel each other out. Yes, but the reaction is exactly what you want when clearing your drains. But you want to make sure that you plug it right after you put those two in so it can push through any gunk, any sort of kind of clog that may be sitting in the pipe, especially after, coming from the holidays where we're doing a lot of cooking as it relates to gnats and fruit flies. That is a nesting area in our drains. So you want to make sure you clear all that out. And again, these are all just manageable tasks that will take no more than 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, your checklist is great because some weeks, you have very easy tasks and most of them seem like they really can be completed in less than an hour.
Yeah, and that's intentional, right? Because home maintenance doesn't really have to be overwhelming. I know sometimes there is a task, maybe like draining your water heater may sound more intimidating than it is, but really that can be completed in 3 to 4 steps,
What are some maintenance tasks that you see people often neglect?
So let's start in the kitchen. A lot of the times when we're cleaning our refrigerators, the most important thing people forget to check or clean, and I know sometimes the back of fridges is an uninhabited area that a lot of people may be afraid or scared to go back into, but please don't, because those coils are going to save you money, right? If a clogged coil can not only be a fire hazard, but it can also allow the machine to run harder than it really needs to continue to cool your things. So just a soft vacuum to get any dust, pet dander, or debris off your coils would significantly help your fridge lifespan. Second, cleaning the dishwasher filter. These are things that we use every day, right? Also, a lot of the times we forget like fire safety. Our fire extinguishers have expiration dates.
Now, you did recommend flushing your water tank, your water heater. What if you've never done this before? I think a lot of people haven't.
Right. The thing about water heaters is, especially if you're in a place where there's hard water, a ton of sediment can build up in the water tank. If you've never done it, it is super easy. You really only need a hose to drain the water so the water comes out. And it's not going to take too long. Once you drain it, you can just let the water do its thing.
So what have you added to your list over the last couple of years?
Earlier this year, I left the house for 3 or 4 days and I came back to a leak, which hard lesson. When you are going away for a few days, turn off the water, because why do you need the water running? Testing your GFCI outlets. I know grout and caulking is a big one around the house that I would have added to this year's 52-week checklist. Lubricating door hinges in our garages and knowing the difference between silicone and water-based. A lot of the times I found people were using, standard WD-40 as a lubricant, and that's not quite what it is. It's more of a water solvent, So it's like the little things that as your home ages, things will happen. And, if I think about the time when I first bought my home versus now when I'm able to either spot or what I feel comfortable with even just doing. Again, through trial and error, do not be afraid to try it for yourself. You learn how to be a better homeowner. You learn also more about your home. And that in the last 5 years that I've owned my home has been the most rewarding.
Well, Keyshawn, thank you so much for being here. This is great information and a great approach to home maintenance.
Yes, thank you so much.
That was Keyshawn Lane. For more home care tips, go to @weeklyhomecheck on Instagram and TikTok. Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Oh, hi there. My name is Suzanne. I'm calling from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, Suzanne. Thanks for calling. What's your question today?
So I bought a home about a year and a half ago. It's 1928, a Tudor-style house. And it has really great oak wood floors throughout almost the entirety of the house. And of course, before I moved in, I restored them or had them restored. Now that I've been living in the house, I'm starting to notice that some of the filler in between the slats is coming apart, and some of the wood is kind of peeling up in places. And I'm just wondering what I can do about that, and how I can look after the floors, or if it's kind of game over.
Yeah, that's so disappointing since you just got them done.
Yeah.
So thankfully, we have Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, here to help us out. Zach, have you ever heard of these kinds of problems this soon after a floor has been refinished?
All the time.
Oh, really?
This is
Oh.
it's an all the time type problem. So this is good.
Okay.
This is not good.
Oh.
Well, it's good for me because I think I won't be confused by the question.
Okay.
So there's two types of floors, right? You have sort of 3/4 inch thick floors that typically connect to each other via tongue and groove. And then you have a thinner type of flooring, which is typically nailed and glued down. Think of like a parquet floor,
Mhm.
which is somewhere in the 3/8 of an inch total thickness when it was installed in the first place. Do you have a sense of which one of
Right.
those you have?
I'm pretty sure I have the former of what you described. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, if you divided 3/4 by 3, you've got the first part of the floor right before you get to the groove on one side and the tongue on the other. That's how much of the floor can be sanded. Once you sand through to the tongue and groove, then you start having these
Right.
paper thin pieces which can sort of peel up.
Yeah.
Where this gets scary,
That's a strong word.
well, it gets scary. Jen's going to know exactly where I'm going, is splinters. So you've got these
Oh,
paper
yes.
thin pieces of wood
Yeah.
that could,
okay.
if you stepped on them and sort of caused one side to become loose in a way that it points up, you can get a splinter that's pretty long and sharp in your feet.
Yeah.
And this actually happened in the house I grew up in. We had these sort of dangerous splinters coming up. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what you have, if you've sanded through to that point. But the other thing you spoke to is that the filler is kind of breaking up
Yeah.
in places and coming out. And that's a problem that is a chronic industry problem. So
Oh.
homeowners have a floor, right, that has all these sort of gaps, and they want to have it smooth so that when they're sweeping, it's easy to clean up. But the
Right.
floor is
right.
expanding and contracting and expanding and contracting like crazy. So it's actually better to just leave those gaps and not trowel fill the floor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, the boards grow more in one direction than another. So there are certain areas where it's acceptable to do that, but I almost prefer to just leave the gaps, let them get filled up with dust. And if there's egregious ones that really, really bother you, come back once the floor is done and sort of dribble a colored match wax in there, because the wax is going to, if you hit it with your foot, it's just going to sort of roll over. It's not going to be the type of thing like where the wood filler is so
Right.
so hard, it's going to push up and actually sort of catch on your sock when you're walking across it.
Right.
I don't know
Okay.
if your floor had what's called trowel filling, where basically you mix up a bunch of wood filler and you sort of trowel it back and floor to fill all of these gaps. But if that's what happened, it's pretty common to have that wood filler start backing up relatively quickly.
Okay, that's great. And then is there anything I should do to look after it longer term? I mean, I'm just trying to wash it carefully, not to use chemicals on it, because I would obviously like to make them last as long as I can.
Is it the moisture, Zach, or is it more the heat and cool of a home that makes the wood expand and contract that kind of pushes it up? What's the bigger problem?
Yeah, it's a swing in humidity, really, that does that.
Okay.
So in our climate, right, in July, we're peak humid, and that's going to be the point where clients are calling me and saying, "Hey, Zach, I'm noticing the wood filler sort of popping up." And then in February, I'm getting phone calls of people saying there's these massive gaps in my floor. When you're in a low humidity point of the year, say the winter, try and pick out large chunks that feel loose and replace it with color matched wax. You could sort of take a candle and sort of melt it in, or a heat gun, for example. But it's sort of a labor of love. But the wax is such that it just will flex with the floor more than the wood filler would.
Wow. Okay, that's great. I would never have known that. Thank you so much. That's incredibly helpful.
No problem at all. Good luck with it.
Thanks for the call, Suzanne.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Coming up, we answer more of your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. 877-864-7460. That's next on This Old House Radio Hour. This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. Whether you're tackling a kitchen upgrade, organizing your garage, or building out that back deck, it's important to keep your projects on track. Fast, free delivery from the Home Depot makes it easy to keep things moving in the right direction. If you're just starting out or you're stuck in the middle, the Home Depot has same-day and next-day delivery, so you can get what you need fast. Maybe you need a tool, more materials, some extra paint and supplies, or a battery to power your way through that project. Whatever you're working on, get fast, free delivery from the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability.
You've put time and care into your home projects. Don't settle for just anything on your walls. Original art is what takes a room from finished to truly complete, and Saatchi Art is where to find it. Browse thousands of affordable, one-of-a-kind artworks that make your home uniquely yours. Visit SaatchiArt.com and get 10% off your first order with code THISOLDHOUSE. That's 10% off at SaatchiArt.com. SaatChi Art.com.
It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largess. Right now we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hello, how are you doing? My name is James. How are you doing today?
Good, James. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Hollywood, Florida.
Perfect. What's your question today?
So my question is, how do I figure out how many amps my outlet has in my kitchen before I install a new oven?
Okay, well, we've got Zach Detmore, general contractor for This Old House, and Heath Eastman, an electrician for the show, both here to help.
Okay.
How's it going, James?
Good, thank you. How about yourself?
Good. So down in Florida, how's the house constructed? Are you on a slab typically? Not a no basement or anything down there, right?
No, it's detached house, just a regular foundation.
Do you have an electric stove now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so it's completely electric, like a standard 30-inch range that has, electric cooktop and electric oven?
Yeah. It's just, I think more than a decade old and trying to upgrade. And I know I've been looking at reviews and I see that there have been a few people that have complained about getting the wrong plug that doesn't match with the outlet.
Okay.
And which has certain power issues. So I just wanted to clarify how I would, be able to tell.
Well, so there's probably going to be two things we're going to look at. And I love the idea of induction, by the way. I mean, boiling water in a matter of seconds with the right pot is great. So we could start by looking at your breaker. So if your electrical panel is labeled and you can see which breaker goes to the oven, that'll give you an initial indication, hopefully. It should be a double breaker. It should have a little handle across the two of them. And if it's purely electric, my guess would be it's either a 40 or a 50.
Okay, 40 or 50.
Yeah,
okay.
So we'll start by taking a look at that. Then the next step would be you'd actually have to slide the oven out of place and take a look at what's behind there and to make sure that everything's correct. Now, if it is a 50 and if it's purely an electric oven, that's great. It's going to depend on what your new induction oven requires. The one thing to consider, though, is how old is the home?
The home was built in the 50s.
In the 50s?
So quite a yeah.
Okay. And was it remodeled? Was the kitchen remodeled or anything at any point?
So the kitchen was remodeled, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. Originally, they used to just run a 3-wire for the electric oven receptacle. So it would be 2 hots and a ground, no neutral. Today, we want to have a neutral in what we're connecting. So that may be the only difficult thing you run into is when you're installing this new oven, having that neutral. If it's required, you may have to run a new wire.
Okay, yeah, I believe it's a 3-prong.
3-prong? Yeah. Yeah, so you may have to check with, see what the manufacturer wants and see if an existing condition would be acceptable to your electrical inspector. Otherwise, they may want to see you upgrade that to a 4-wire, which may not be the easiest thing in Florida if you don't have that basement.
Sure. So, okay, so I find out what the amp is of the outlet.
Yep.
And then, from the breaker, and then figure out what it is from the new oven and see if
that's a match, and then see if you're going to need a neutral. Correct. So is your panel inside or outside? A lot of times I see them on the outside there.
It's inside.
Inside?
Yeah.
Yep. So if you flip the cover open, you should hopefully find a double 40 or double 50 that'll say oven with any luck if it's somewhat labeled. we'll turn that off before you slide the oven out. Then you can pull the oven out, take a look and see what you have there and go from there. But if there are any questions, I wouldn't hesitate to calling a professional just to make sure everything's correct for you.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Do all induction ovens not use the exact same plug? Like, could be different?
You're exactly right. So we've seen some smaller ones that are down to 20 or 30 amps, some up to 60 amps. So it's all over the map. So based on the age of the house and what they would have run, if it was 50s and the wire's original, it might even be like a 6.2 aluminum wire, which is, you're going to max out if it's something bigger. So if you're sliding in a 30-inch induction, range, it should be no more than a 50. Typically, usually the larger ones need a little more power. But yeah, you definitely want to inspect what you have. So turn that breaker off. You can slide that out, see what you have going on, see what the manufacturer recommends. And then it's still not a bad idea to contact someone to make sure you're doing it right so you don't damage that new unit. Those certainly aren't inexpensive.
And you're saying with his house construction, it may or may not be easy to replace that wire because?
Yeah, so looking at a lot of places in Florida, and at least the panels on the inside, sometimes they're on the outside of them, where it's a slab, usually there's no nice way to get a wire from where the panel is to the kitchen. So a lot of times you'll see them install conduit on the outside of the house to get around. If you have some attic access, you might have a shot at doing that. But it's hard to say. We get spoiled a little up here, up north, where we have basements a lot of time where we can drop down, go across, and pop back up and make things a little cleaner and neater. It's not to say it isn't possible. Anything's possible. It's just what's involved in making this happen and make sure it's worth it for you for getting that new oven. So yeah, first thing, check the breaker, make sure it's labeled properly, turn it off, make sure it turns the oven off, and then you can slide it out and take a look and see what you have and kind of go from there.
Okay. Thank you very much for all your help. I really appreciate it from everyone.
Happy to help. Good to talk to you.
All right. You too, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Call us now at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hello. I'm Mia from Detroit, Michigan.
Hi, Mia. What's your question today?
Okay, so I've been trying to build this mirror frame. I found a mirror without a frame or whatever. And so I have a bunch of plywood, or not plywood. I have a bunch of pallets. And I'm trying to build a frame, but I can't figure out how to keep the mirror in the, to keep it from falling out the back or the bottom or anything. So I'm trying to figure out how to adhere it to it.
That's a fair question. We have Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, here on the line as well. Zach, she said she's building with pallet wood. What is the things we need to keep in mind if we're going to try to use pallet wood?
Usually with pallet wood, depending on how good it looks is how good it is. Sometimes they're...
Well, I'm covering it up with tiles and stuff, so how it looks doesn't really matter to me.
Oh, good. So you just want to make sure it doesn't have any soft spots then?
Or I just don't even know how to keep the mirror inside. Okay, sorry. This is so weird to describe for no reason, but how in mirrors there's the frame and then there's a big board in the back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a backing on the mirror.
Right.
There's a couple different ways you can create a frame that holds in the mirror. And Zach, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the first is really to start with a backer board and then create sort of a layer that goes around. Like if you were to lay the mirror down on the backer board and put a frame around it, and then you're going to layer the pallet wood on top of that so that it sort of comes in over the edges of the mirror to hold it down, if that makes sense.
If we're trying to avoid buying anything like a sheet of thin plywood to make a full back out of, it's possible to create sort of a shape that receives the mirror, but it also requires a good bit of accuracy with the tools you have. So what kind of tools do you have, Mia? What are we working with?
Good question. I have a $1 handsaw that I got from a garage sale. And that's it. Yep. And some wood glue. And a drill.
Okay, so you can make shortcuts, but probably not rip cuts. And pallets are typically, the pieces you have are what? Probably at least 3.5 inches wide by 4 feet wide, something like this, 4 feet long, something like that?
Just about, yeah. I've just been cutting them in half, basically.
And how big is the mirror you have already? Are you going to cut it, or what's the size of that?
It's let me go look. It's probably 3 feet by 3 feet.
Oh, okay.
So, Zach, if she was to make the frame out of pallet wood and then on the back side put just some flat metal strapping, like just grab some brackets, could she then glue the corners of the mirror to that? Would it be enough since it's not a super huge space?
Yeah, I think totally. And they make a mirror glue called mirror mastic, which is, purpose built for sticking to the back of the mirror, not the front of the mirror. But I'm wondering if we want to make a mirror sandwich. So say you had 4 sides to the mirror and each mirror used 3 pieces of wood, if you follow me.
I don't.
Okay.
Now,
So go again.
Right, so I'm driving over now. I can't explain this in a phone call.
How big did you say the mirror is?
Like 3 feet by 3 feet.
You might be able to get away with just really sizing the frame to be exactly the outside width of the mirror. And then if you go to the home center, Zach, what's the metal bracket I'm thinking of? It's just a flat piece that has screw holes on each side.
A mending plate.
A mending plate, thank you. And put a mending plate on the back side so that it kind of goes across the corner. And that's going to be the thing that you glue your mirror to, if that makes sense.
Do this Jen's way. Don't even attempt my way. I make things so stupid complicated. It's going to look better. Do it her way.
You're making a wood sandwich and then, So, okay.
Get mayonnaise.
Just a little bit of peanut butter. You're going to be fine.
Yeah. Okay. So what is it called? A mending plate?
Yep. So you're going to grab 4 mending plates and you want to make sure they're probably somewhere around 6 to 8 inches long because you want them to sort of come across the inner corner.
Okay.
So that you can glue the mirror to it and then grab a little bit of that mirror adhesive and stick the mirror to the mending plates.
Okay. I understand. 100%.
And that's going to create like a full assembly that should be really sturdy.
Okay. Awesome.
And then the last thing you need is something either called a French cleat. It's going to look like a long metal strip. And you're going to secure that to the back of your top board and then to the wall. And then those 2 pieces hook together so that it holds it really securely so that the mirror won't fall off the wall.
Oh, okay. I know. I can visualize what that is. Do you need like anchors or whatever? I've heard people say that you're supposed to do that, and I have never done that before.
It doesn't hurt. A French cleat kind of distributes the weight across the cleat, so that'll help. But it never hurts to use wall anchors or just to try to find a stud.
And the only other thing is, I think the mirror mastic comes in a caulking tube, not a squeezy bottle. So if you don't have a caulking gun, you might have to buy one. Or you could shove the end of a hammer in it. Which is super awkward, but I've done it.
Oh, really? You have? Okay, I thought that was a joke. That sounds pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad you were here for this one, Jen, because Mia would be thoroughly screwed if she attempted my board splitting.
No, I have a long history of trying to figure out how to make things without the right tools, and I've become skilled at coming up with shortcuts.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, Mia, so go to your wood shop, get your table saw, and join her out.
Mia, thanks so much for the call. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're going to crush this. Send us a picture when it's done.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, take care.
All right, bye-bye.
If you have a question about your home, you can call us now at 877-864-7460. 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hello, Jen. This is Tammy Lippincott up in Bethel, Maine. How are you?
Hi, Tammy. I'm well. What's your question today?
My question today is, can you give me any hints or tips on how to do a base for a rock wall? It's not a big rock wall. It's maybe 2.5 feet high is what we have planned. And I just want to make sure that the, ground is the way it should be.
Absolutely. Well, luckily we have Mark McCullough, the mason for the show, and Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show, both here to help.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, Tammy. I know you're in Bethel, Maine, not New Jersey, because if you were in New Jersey, you'd be like, how do I put a vinyl white fence up?
Zach.
Well, here's the thing. We have plenty of rocks up in Maine, and so I would just like to use that. I'm doing a border for a garden, and The rock wall is planned to be around 14 feet on either side for the length. And we already set in some granite steps, and I would just like to make sure that we've got the base right.
And this is definitely a Mark question.
I was going to say, Mark, give us a 101 here.
Come on,
what do we need
Mark.
to know?
Quick 101. If it's a wall for the garden, it's pretty simple. Excavate what we call a trench. Go at least 12 inches down. You're not wrong if you go 16 inches down and you fill that with gravel. Has to be compacted. I stay 2 or 3 inches under grade, and that way I'll have stone exposed as opposed to seeing that bed of gravel.
Oh, that makes sense.
Did you say 2 feet high?
It's going to be about 2.5 feet high.
Okay.
It's not super high. We weren't looking for that. I was just looking to, add to the area where the flowers are going.
Yes.
Okay.
So the wall, Tammy, is going to be decorative for intent and purpose, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a retaining wall. It doesn't have any function other than, look pretty.
Right. So easy as pie, because it becomes artistic at one point, and you sound like someone that can be very artistic, Tammy. But
I try, but I'm not sure.
Well,
I'm not sure about that.
The flowers convinced me. So
Mark's turning on the old charm.
Well, thank you, Zach, for noticing. But I'm a little clumsy sometimes, but I'm just trying to work my way in. But anyway, the base to me is always the most important. Prep work and anything that you do in the ground is the most important thing that you're going to do. So if you, again, dig a nice trench, 12 to 16 inches deep, do the gravel. We compact the gravel on what we call lifts. So every 2 or 3 inches, we'll compact that gravel until we meet the height that we've been talking about. If it's really just a garden wall, you don't have to really be too concerned about means and methods. Balance the stone properly is all I can say. 2 feet gives you a little bit of area for mistakes, if you will. So you don't have a ton of exposure. And if this isn't something you've done in the past or something that you're just trying out, again.
We are just trying out. I don't know how good we'll be at this.
But you know what, Tammy? You're on the right track. And that's what I love. Okay. I love people going out and trying to do stone walls. Not to waste time or go away from your question, but there's a poem by Robert Frost. It's called The Mending Wall. And if you read that, it's the best source of inspiration for anyone trying to do what you do, because they actually go back and forth in the poem, 2 neighbors, and they basically tell you, yes, we're going to make this 2-foot high border wall, and we're going to stack stones like this and like that. And again, it's not a complete science as they do it. And again, if you read that poem, not only will you be inspired, but you'll know exactly what you're doing. You're not building a stone wall that's going to hold up a house or hold up a shed.
Right.
The main thing is have a ball, have fun with it. Don't strain yourself. So the size of the stones that you're going to be looking for are a little bigger or smaller than, say, a basketball.
Okay.
The hardest part is the trench.
I was going to say that or reading poetry while we're doing the wall.
Yeah, no, I suggest before and after. Again, don't forget the inspiration.
And who doesn't love a Robert Frost poem?
So I love him so much, I call him Bob. I'm like, wait a minute. Before I start this wall, where's my book of Bob?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mark, for that trench, does she need to be below the Robert Frost line?
Oh. Zach. That's one of the reasons I came in today. But I knew.
This is what you're here for.
Well, you know what, Jen? I'm going to use that. Zach will never know that. But
I was going to say, you're putting this in your back pocket. I can tell.
That was good.
Yeah, you keep that. That's my gift to you.
Tammy, we appreciate you calling in.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Coming up, Pulitzer Prize winning author Viet Nguyen shows you his old house.
Everything in our house was utilitarian. The dining room, the kitchen, the hearth, these symbols of family life, never separate from the economic life of being a refugee.
That's next on This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM.
You've put time and care into your home projects. Don't settle for just anything on your walls. Original art is what takes a room from finished to truly complete, and Saatchi Art is where to find it. Browse thousands of affordable one-of-a-kind artworks that make your home uniquely yours. Visit SaatchiArt.com and get 10% off your first order with code THISOLDHOUSE. That's 10% off at SaatchiArt.com. SaatChi Art.com.
It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Coming up, cheap old houses are back with historic Southern homes in need of thoughtful renovation. But first, we go to San Jose, California. For Viet Nguyen, home is complicated. The Pulitzer Prize winning author of The Sympathizer grew up caught between his Vietnamese home and the America outside its walls. In both places, he felt like a spy.
I'm Viet Nguyen, a writer, and this is my old house. I grew up in San Jose, California from 1978 to 1986, living in this brown single-story house right by the 280 freeway on South 10th Street. My parents were born in poverty in this rural Vietnamese village, and they had relatively little education. They were very talented, natural business people, and they became successful in Vietnam and bought quite a bit of property. We actually were quite privileged by the time I was born there. And so I'm sure my parents could not help but contrast the fact that we had this upper-class lifestyle in Vietnam with this working-class environment in San Jose. So I'm sure there's a sense of downward mobility for my parents, but they had managed to bring a certain amount of gold with them from Vietnam. So they bought that house in cash. And my father tells me this story that as refugees, they bought the house, and the realtor was astonished. These poor Vietnamese refugees paid for this house in cash. So they took enormous pride in home ownership and improving the home and everything like that. But it was clearly a home right next to the freeway. When you were driving down South 10th Street, you could look to your right. It's a one-way street, and you could clearly see through our living room window. The front door was next to that living room window, and then when you opened that front door, you're immediately in the living room. There is no foyer or anything like that. And to the right was the organ. My parents wanted to give me a musical education. They were devout Catholics, and their idea of a great instrument was an organ, so I could learn how to play Catholic church music. And in that living room, they had a brand new set of red velour furniture, which, if you ever watched movie westerns from the 1950s, is what I would imagine would be the color of the furniture in the bordellos. But for a refugee family, this was brand new furniture. This was a house without central air and heat, so it had these gray space heaters that were 5 feet tall. You would find one in the living room. To the left would be the open kitchen and the dining room where I spent a lot of time. Everything in our house was utilitarian. The dining room, the kitchen, the hearth, these symbols of family life, never separate from the economic life of being a refugee. We had a TV, and that was a big deal. It probably weighed like 500 pounds or something like that, but it was a 25-inch TV where I entertained myself. And then you walk straight down the hallway, and down the hallway, the master bedroom. And on the right side were 2 bedrooms, and at the end was a bathroom. My parents loved me so much that they took one of the smaller bedrooms and gave me the master bedroom. And I think that was their way of making up for the fact that I spent most of my life alone in that house. It was a very lonely childhood, and so my parents gave me the master bedroom where I could play in. The lights were out at night. The house was completely dark, and I was alone in that master bedroom. My parents went to sleep earlier than I did. And if I got thirsty, I had to go down that dark hallway by myself to the kitchen. The light switch was at the very end. So I'd go down the dark hallway before I could turn on the light, and then to turn off the light, go all the way down that dark hallway. I was terrified as a little kid. So at night, it felt as if everything outside of my bedroom door was a terrifying space, haunted by all the ghosts of the stories that I was reading. There's a big window at the back of the bedroom, which is also looking out onto the back of the house where we had a big yard. And through that window, I could see the freeway entrance ramp. It seemed to me that I could almost touch the cars, and I always wondered, where were all these people going? Cars and freeways are symbols of Americana, and so that was my fantasy, that these people were all going someplace interesting and fascinating, and I was stuck in this bedroom that was huge, but also it was a kind of a cage, and my way out was through these fantasies of where these people were going. and what I was reading and learning through the books that I was borrowing from the San Jose Public Library. But I think I realized how privileged I was when my cousins came from Minnesota to come to the promised land of San Jose, California. They too were Vietnamese refugees. I moved into one of the single bedrooms, and that entire Vietnamese family moved into the master bedroom. That's 2 parents and 9 kids living in the same space. And so that brought home for me this enormous privilege that I had, but also the refugee conditions that all of us as people who had fled from Vietnam just a few years ago were living in. I don't know of any family that came to the United States without leaving somebody behind. There were always black and white pictures of other Vietnamese people, and these were the Vietnamese people who had been left behind. I grew up looking at photos of my grandparents, who I would never meet. They would all die before I got to go back to Vietnam. And so I grew up with this sense that all these Vietnamese homes were engaged in a fight for economic and cultural survival, but also the survival of memory. That's why these pictures were there. We needed to remember where we came from and who we had left behind. When people say the word home, they probably have sentimental or nostalgic ideas. Home is where you belong, home is where your family is, and so on. And yet for me, it's impossible to imagine home without also thinking about the fact that my entire life has been defined by the refugee experience. My parents were refugees twice, in 1954 when Vietnam was divided and they fled from the north to the south, as teenagers in 1975 when they fled from Vietnam with me. If I think of Vietnam as my home, it's also defined by war and struggle and displacement. It's a place that is challenging to return to for many different kinds of reasons. Growing up in San Jose, California, I find it impossible to separate the love, warmth, and hospitality of Vietnamese homes from the fact that a lot of these homes were defined by trauma, by loss. What that means is that I'm always aware of what it means to claim a home and for all of its wonderful possibilities, but then also how for so many people, home is a conflicted experience. You don't have to be a refugee either. You just have to be aware of the fact that for a lot of Americans, home is not an uncomplicated place. And so as a writer, as a human being, it's important to acknowledge that kind of complexity. It's important not to be completely sentimental about what home means. And yet I have a home now. I have a family. I have children. I have a wife. And my wife is a Vietnamese refugee too. We've tried to make our home a home that is not the same kind of home that we grew up in. And so we've tried to do this thing where we give our children everything that they need, but not everything that they want. Warmth and love and none of the trauma that we had.
That was Viet Thanh Nguyen. His latest collection of essays, To Save and Destroy, is out now from Belknap Press. Get it wherever books are sold. Do you ever see an old house online and think, maybe that could be my life? A place with history, maybe a porch swing, and stories in the walls. You kind of start to picture yourself there, and it starts to feel pretty real. That's the magic of Cheap Old Houses, an Instagram page created by Ethan and Elizabeth Finkelstein that uncovers old farmhouses and historic homes on the market for next to nothing. Some are listed for as little as $10. But the cheapest homes can be the most expensive to fix. So we asked them what it really takes to bring these old places back. Hi, Ethan. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi. Hi, Jen.
And this old house contractor, Zach Detmore, is here to tell us where the charm ends and the work begins. Hi, Zach.
Hey, Jen.
So our first listing today is a single family or a business listing, dealer's choice. It's got 3 bedrooms and only 2.5 bathrooms, so no tubs or showers. What used to be a restaurant in this charming folk Victorian home has a full wraparound porch and intricate woodwork on the outside. Inside it boasts rooms that have been kept in their original style, minus, of course, the commercial kitchen. This 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath folk Victorian home is located at 34 Eufaula Ave in Clayton, Alabama, with an asking price of $99,000. So, Ethan and Elizabeth, have you seen a listing where a home has been used as a restaurant?
I think so, yeah. I think we've seen a few of them come along, and, it's nice when the equipment's in there and if it's usable.
Yeah, I think that indicates to me that it's probably located right in the downtown area, which is kind of fun to be walkable like that. And this one certainly is. It's right next to a very historic-looking downtown.
So this isn't as uncommon as it sounds to me.
Well, I think it gives you an idea of a cool use. And what's cool is that it sounds like the land is potentially zoned for multi-use. So you could live in it or you could have some sort of working structure. So that's just kind of fun to have options going into a house and thinking of it as revenue, generating so you can fix up this old place.
Yeah, even though it was used as a restaurant, it still looks like a home.
It really does. And the style of this one is so whimsical. The folk Victorian style is a fan favorite. At this time, when this house was built in the late 19th century, people were doing really wild things with houses. It was a really era of more is more. But the everyman sort of took these building parts that were available for the first time in history made by machine and put them all over the house. And so you get these really elaborate porches on houses that generally otherwise have a pretty simple form. And you certainly see that here. The porch is really, really, really striking on this one. I think it's probably its most fanciful feature.
Fanciful. That's a word we all need to use every day.
Yes.
Now, the home does look like it is in pretty good condition, but Zach, what do you think?
I think it's impressive. Yeah. I mean, in general, in terms of the structure, there's no major red flags. Everything looks straight, especially when you have a house with a highly detailed front porch. If it's completely rotted or deteriorated, that can be a very expensive detail to build back. And this one is really straight and well preserved. So I think it's more of a scrape and paint situation than a knock over and recreate type situation. So exterior looks pretty good. On the interior, it has super high ceilings, which means typically you can get away with smaller rooms if the ceiling's higher because it feels a lot bigger. And then, I mean, you have a commercial kitchen in it, so that's something you're gonna have to work around. But I will say it's hard to design a timeless kitchen because historic kitchens don't work the way our kitchens these days do. So a commercial kitchen is really timeless because they don't change as much as residential kitchens. So maybe just leave it.
Well, I can imagine it would probably be a little easier to, usually when we see a lot of these older homes, the kitchen is something that has been kind of sadly changed in not the best ways over time. And so you usually have to a little bit start from scratch in that room anyways. So maybe this gives you a little more to work with. It mentioned that it has no tub or shower in the home. They're all just half bathrooms. How hard is it to add that back in?
It's akin to remodeling a bathroom because typically houses of this age, the cast iron pipes or the brass pipes may have rotted, be at the end of their serviceable life. So renovating a bathroom and adding a shower or tub are not projects that are drastically different. So that doesn't really scare me at all.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good candidate for like a small business administration business loan. Instead of like a traditional mortgage, if you needed to for some fix-up funds, you might go and apply through a bank for some small business loans. And that, I think small towns all across the country, we just love to see these small towns kind of come back and have, not just come back, but just kind of fall into their own and kind of bring some of the restaurants back and bring some of the life back onto the main streets.
Mm-hmm. So our second listing today is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom traditional single-family home, so no restaurant here. But it has 10 rooms in total, along with 7 fireplaces, a 2-car garage, and a wraparound porch. Many historic architectural details remain in this home, along with tin ceilings, historic hardwood floors, and the property sits on over an acre of land with mature pecan, oak, and magnolia trees. This 3-bedroom, 2-full-bathroom, 10-room single-family home is located at 903 Nicholas Street, Henderson in North Carolina, with an asking price of $139,000.
This house is like one of those rare records that literally is like the thing that you've been looking for like 10 years in the record pile. The outside doesn't even do the inside justice, I don't think.
Every detail seems to be intact inside this house.
Elizabeth, can you describe the outside of this house versus the inside of this house?
So the outside of this house has shingles up in the gable and a clapboard exterior. So typical of Queen Anne, you have different textures on the exterior. And then there's a beautiful asymmetrical wraparound porch with a portico over the doorway and seems to have its original front doors. And it's a very welcoming exterior. I think obviously could use a lot of landscaping really to frame the house and bring out the detail. Mm-hmm. And the color palette right now is a little muted. This house, I think, would have had a little bit more fun going on out there.
Okay, and then you walk inside, different story.
Well, you walk inside and it got the white paint treatment. This house, there's a lot of paint stripping that can be done here if you feel like taking that on, because the woodwork in this house is incredible. I see multiple fireplaces. I think it said there were 7 fireplaces inside this house. I see pocket doors. I see beautiful millwork everywhere. And there is a tin ceiling that looks like it needs to be repaired.
This is one of those houses that you look at it from the street and you're like, oh, all right, let's go in and not be impressed. And then you walk into this foyer and it's just incredible. The balustrade, the newel post is bigger than my whole house. It is like 20 inches by 20 inches. Not really, but it's gigantic. And it's all so decrepit. You're going to get a really quick payoff on this house because there's some sort of ugly wallpaper. You take that off and you sort of clean everything and you're going to be like in an 80% better house immediately.
Yeah.
And there's certainly some old house quirks. I think the biggest concern I have is when you look at the back of the house, it's not as pretty as the front, which makes me wonder if there's some questionable additions on the back. A cleaning and a coat of paint would get you very, very, very far with this particular house because it hasn't been renovated in a way that has, removed too much of the character. The bathrooms are pretty much total redos, but in a house at this price point, that's going to be the case either way. But it's a great house. I would say it's faultless for this price.
Faultless. What about the hole in the ceiling upstairs? Is that faultless?
I mean, it just means the house has been ignored, right?
Yeah.
When houses are ignored, the water gets in, and there's signs of that everywhere. Okay. But the nice thing is old houses, hopefully this house doesn't have a ton of insulation in it, so it's going to dry out. Getting wet isn't really bad for the house. It's staying wet that's bad for the house. Yep. So you're going to have an investment, but this isn't a run for the hills house. And I'll tell you if it's a run for the hills house, but this isn't a run for the hills house.
Well, Ethan, Elizabeth, thank you for being here, and Zach as well. We appreciate all your expertise.
This was fun.
What fun jobs to talk to you guys all about houses all day.
Take care. See you guys later.
If you want to see some of these old houses, follow @CheapOldHouses on Instagram. Or you can check out their newsletter at cheapoldhouses.com. Who knows? You might just find your next home. And now it's time for one last thing, my favorite tool.
Hey Jen, it's Ross Rathui from This Old House, and my favorite tool is a camera borescope. It's a camera that's on top of a long probe that's flexible that you can control. So if we want to see inside of a wall cavity, if we want to see inside of a duct, if we want to see inside of things inside the building, we use a camera borescope and basically snake it where we want to see. And so I can see on the camera feed on my phone or on the monitor, and I can move it to snake through chimney flues, through ductwork, through piping, through drains that are clogged. So it is a great tool that we use almost every single day.
We'll see you next week on This Old House Radio Hour. Our show is distributed by and co-produced by LAist Studios and APM, American Public Media. This Old House Radio Hour was created and produced by Ember 20. Listen to new episodes of the podcast every Tuesday on your app of choice. You can follow This Old House on all the socials at This Old House, all one word. We'll see you next week.